One of the most exhausting things that you can do with your time, that is valuable, by the way, is spend years, months, days trying to convince someone to see your value. Be it a relationship, friendships, family members, co-workers, church community. If you constantly find yourself trying to force your way into somebody's life, the truth of the matter is this: you could be fighting for a position that God never intended for you to have. So here's what I want to do today. I want to encourage you to stop chasing people and start embracing the value that God has already placed on your life.
Walking like I talk it, yeah, I walk it. Yeah. Flowers never grow without some water.
What's going on, Lions Den family? Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today we got a good one. We're talking about not breaking into people's lives or forcing your way into lives or into doors that God never intended for you to open. Now, this is something that I can speak to you about because this is something that God had to personally heal me from, right? This is an area in my life where I used to struggle with this, right? There was a point in my life where I thought that it was more valuable for me to be seen by the world, accepted, embraced, and acknowledged, by people who never really had my best interest, right, at heart. And there was a moment in a season in my life that God allowed me to go through this. Now, why am I saying God allowed me to? Because God had to use this very thing to break me from this desire, this want, this need. And there's no coincidence that you turned on this video today, because this is the same thing that God is doing in your life right now. For those of you that feel that it's necessary for you to keep knocking on the doors of people's lives that constantly just ignore you, that don't see you, that don't hear you, and that ultimately, again, don't value you. God wants you to know that your life is already valuable, that you already matter, that you are already loved, that you are cared for, and He's calling you to a greater place within yourself. And that place is a place called self-love. That place is a place called self-recognition and realizing who you are and whose you are. Now, as I stated about in my life, I went through this for years. There were times in my life where I wanted to be accepted and seen by so-called friend groups that I was running with, that I was literally doing anything that I thought would be pleasing, to them, that would want to make them be around me or call me when they got plans to go out and do something, right? Or there was times where I wanted to be so accepted, embraced, and loved by family. And the toughest thing that I had to realize even about that is there's a saying, that we grew up on, and they say blood is thicker than water. I had to learn that the saying is not as true as people want to make it sound, right? Because you start to learn that sometimes it's the people that is closest to you, right? The people that you would never think, that will hurt you or harm you or damage you, that will actually do the most harm and the most damage to you. And at this point in my life, I was a broken man living from childhood triggers and trauma, wanting to feel accepted rather than rejected, because that was something that I dealt with growing up. That was something that I always kind of felt, abandonment, rejection, growing up as a fatherless son. You get what I'm saying? And so it started to play out in so many different areas of my life, to where I found myself in this place and I thought it was healthy. But the thing that I love the most about God, and why I'm making this video so that you can learn to love about God and even learn to love about yourself, is that God never allowed me to settle. He allowed me to go through it, but He never allowed me to settle or to believe that that was the best that I could possibly get out of life, or that was the best that he had to offer me. He allowed me to experience the heartache and the pain, the rejection. He allowed me to experience those things because he needed me to see that I'm looking for value in places that there is no value. I'm looking for acceptance. I'm looking for all of these things in people that were always meant to drop me, let me down, and always meant to disappoint me, right? And when I look back, on my journey with that, and I look back and I look at what God has done and how today where I sit, where I'm more okay and I'm more at peace when a door doesn't open, when a connection doesn't happen, when people are revealing their truth, to me about who they are and where they are, that I no longer feel a need to constantly pick up the phone and blow up phones, or constantly send text messages, or constantly do things to be seen or to be heard or to be recognized. And this is what I want you to know and to understand as well. It's okay for you today to make a choice to put down the phone, to stop calling, to stop texting, to stop showing up, to stop always making yourself available in a sense to where you're let down because you have a certain expectation, right? This is a call for you to personally take your expectations out of people and to place them in God and rely on God for connections that are God sent, that are healthy, to rely on God for spaces where you can grow, be nourished, where you can be fed. As you are feeding, you can be fed as well. For you to rely on God for where it is that he desires for you to be, and for those that he desires to be around you. Sometimes we're choosing people based upon where we are. Sometimes we're choosing connections based upon where we are. Sometimes we're wanting to connect with people based upon what we are personally going through at a present state of our lives, right? Where we tend to later regret, because there comes a point where growth has to happen, right? There comes a point where elevation takes place. And now those places that you once thought you needed, or those people you once thought you needed, you realize that I don't really need, or I should have never really put myself in this predicament or in this place, because now there are consequences, right? There are things that you have to now deal with. There are things that you now have to carry, right? And sometimes those can be burdens. Sometimes those can be heavy, like weight. You get what I'm saying? And so when you find yourself in this place and you find yourself trying to force your way into positions or into places, and you constantly see that there's friction, that there is something there that's stopping and that's not allowing it to happen, I want you to consider the fact that it's God letting you know that that's not it, that they're not it, that that's not what I have for you, and that's not where I'm sending you. I hope and pray that something was said in this video that will help you as you continue to journey along your journey of faith and your path of continuous growth. That when you feel that need to force or to fight or to constantly break in or to do those things that you know what those things are that you do, I want you to remember this very message. And I want you to ask God for strength. Strength to wait on him, strength to stand and to trust him and to see his salvation and his glory be revealed in your life. You don't have to break into any place or into any life where God intends for you to be, or where God has written to be a part of your story. Everything that is of God and from God, it'll flow. It'll be. And it'll be peace. It'll be peace. Remember that. Stop breaking into those lives and start to see the value again that God has already placed on your life. You are valuable, even if no one ever tells you. You are loved. You matter. God bless y'all, and until next time, be encouraged, be inspired, and stay uplifted.